So maybe this is a good transition to talk about your journey with SOREM.
Yeah. So similarly, as I said, when I came back from Delhi after my training, there was nothing of the support system I could bank upon. So he was only two at that time. So thought of putting him into a regular playway. It was the best playway of Chandigarh. And um, with the thought of okay, with the social skills he will be maybe with his peers he will learn something, and for the other needs I will be taking care. So we had put him in that school. After a few days the counselor calls me and says that, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Jan, he can't be here." I said, "What happened?" This is, did he do something? Did he disturb? Did he did something which was not okay in the classroom? He says, "No, he didn't do anything of that sort. He just plays with his toys and is okay." But parents have objections that he has autism and will not be able to keep him. That was kind of the first rejection I had in my life.
How did that feel?
Oh, I it was a shock. I was shattered. And not only that much, she also suggested that, "Mrs. Jain, if you have money, you should shift to the US because that's where the services are. You're in the wrong country, ma'am." And I did not know what to say. I just heard. I did not utter a word. I took my child and I came back home. I never went back to that school. I never ever went back to that school and say that. I said, "If you're not accepting my child, I will not even fight for it." Because people told me that you should fight, you should do all those things. I'm not engaged fighting, but it was something I couldn't accept. If you were not accepting, what would be if I fight and then you say okay, your child can be here. So we thought of, we found out some very small school which were very very accommodating, and I spoke to the principal and she said okay, how can we help him? And that was the thing that I was wanting. So we went and we introduced the buddy system over there, which was super successful. So every day, whosoever would sit with Suvrat would help him with his tiffin, with help him with his notebooks, would be the monitor of the class. So that was the small things that we did in the classrooms, and pretty successful. But again, that was a very small school, a kindergarten. He had to leave after 3 years. Then he went to a school, a resource room, where a big school where they had this resource room, because by that time there were some resource rooms, um, and people were little aware of autism also. So Suvrat did okay there for 2.5 years, I think. And by that time, he was hitting his puberty, about 10 or 11. So he started having challenging behaviors, and then they again called, principal again called and said, "Sorry, Mrs. Jain, we can't keep him." And I was like, "It's better, we know you've been associated with Delhi schools and all. It's better to take him to Delhi." And again, this suggestion, when it came, somebody said telling me to go to the US, somebody telling me to go to, Delhi. And that's where I thought about I am going from one place to another. And honestly speaking, Rachel, I was thinking all my bags were almost packed, and I thought that I will be moving to Delhi, to the center from where I took the training. That the plan was okay, I'm going to shift and then I'm going to take along my daughter because she was also a teenager, and I could not leave her behind. I said, okay, for good, we shift to Delhi because that's where I'll find some support for my son and for my own self also. And this was this new school which came up, Sorem. I said, let me go and see what this place is like. So this place came up in 2008. This was 2009. I went and saw, and then I spoke to the founder, who I mean, she's a very great person. I would like my son to be here, and how about if I volunteer myself here? And they said okay, you're most welcome. And that's where that thing came up within me, how long I'll be running from one place to the another. Why not create something over here?
Mm.
And that was the time to take the responsibility, not kind of only looking for some support systems, but taking responsibility for your own child and for others also. So that was the time I think, let's create something here if we do not have something in Chandigarh. And I thought I'll give it a shot, and I'll be here for a while to see if everything works. And we have a saying, I'm sure you would be having something like a very similar saying, like if you would do something with great passion, then as the saying says, no, if you're doing it with all your heart, the the universe supports you, and you will also receive the support from 10,000 miles away. And that's what happened. So in 2009 I joined, and we collaborated with Global Autism Project in 2010. And then of course it was no looking back. And then of course, as I always say that the standalone practitioners do not have those standardized services. So for us at SOREM, with the global autism, we had the best practices and we knew how to work. So the benchmark was not something, and the standardized was not something only with the local people. It was the global benchmark that we were trying to meet. And I think that's what we all wanted to do at SOREM. So my journey with SOREM has been now, I think, more than 10 years. And
And what role do you play there now?
I'm a second in command over there. So the founder, who's 89 years old, is the principal, and I'm vice principal over there.
Hmm.
So
Wonderful.
now I take more of I've taken up a more of a administrative role rather than as a educator or educator role.
You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Click here to watch this interview in its entirety. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.